If you were ancient Roman emperor and you had an important battle ahead of you, who would you turn to for an advice? To the emperor of allied states? To the commander-in-chief? Maybe to your network of spies behind enemy lines? No. To solve such serious issue, the ancient Greeks and Romans turned to the dead. Why dead? Was it possible to turn to all of them? And most importantly, how to do it? We will discuss all of this today. And spoiler, yes, you can do that too. This is the first chapter of this book on my study of ancient magic. The topic is frightening and a little taboo. Frankly, I thought about recording this video, but I decided to put aside my fear because necromancy was an important part of the culture. You and I are adults, and this video is entertaining and a little bit educational. Let's explore. In essence, anyone could talk to that, if only there is a desire. The difficulty is to get the answer from them. Necromancy was a common form of fortune telling in ancient times. It was not considered shameful to start in. However, talking to that is not an easy job, and even the most respectable rituals become more complicated as that person separates from the world of life in time and space. The easiest way is to contact the deceased immediately after death and in the presence of their body. If you drag out the conversation for too long, it will become completely impossible, mainly because the dead cease to be dead. So, who are dead? To say that the dead are not those who are alive is an oversimplification. We all have roughly the same idea of what it's like to be alive. But there are no simple opinion about what happens after death. Perhaps the deceased are disembodied spirits living in another world far from us, or clouds of energy chained to the brains and circumstances of their death, or peacefully, slowly settling mounds. Until this is established, no necromancer will be able to get down to business. It is difficult to carry on a conversation if you yourself do not know who or what are you talking to. By the way, this statement of the sentence about the fact that we simply do not know what the dead are like, a feeling fluttered inside me in a different spectra. I, like many others, am very afraid of death and suffer from panic attacks. At the same time, I realize that there are probably things in our everyday life that are completely unexplored, invisible to people, like radio waves once was. I think we still have a lot to learn and understand about the world, about life. But it never occurred to me until this moment that you can also learn about death someday. From the point of view of ancient Greece and Rome, the state of death is natural for a person. It is worth talking to spirits, if only because they exist outside of time. They realize the future as clearly as the past. So, that man is a valuable contact. The next life will definitely come. The spirit will go to the path of the underworld where the river of death is. Choose a new faith, drink from that, and it will grant him oblivion. Now you can be born again and go through the chosen path. But I like the idea of rebirth much less than many other things. The idea of forgetting your life and living a new one. And we must admit that many paths and lives in our world are very hard and scary and terrible. And that's why this idea seems even sadistic to me. But gladly I'm not in an ancient world. Of course, after the spirit is born in a new body, the necromancer will no longer be able to reach it. What's the point of appearance of Cleopatra's shadow if now it's Emily from Florida? In Homer's Odyssey, there is a rite of necromancy, which the hero restored to in search of advice for the difficult journey. 3 roles are noted in this rite. First, it is clear that the rite was not performed in every space or landmark. It needs a place where the line between the world of the living and the world of dead is thin. We will return to this later. A field where the battle has recently taken place checks this box perfectly. Second, blood played an important role in this rite. The whole ritual and rite was about him going to some space and throwing blood everywhere, saying some magical words, and after that, many shadows, like souls, come to him, like hundreds of them, and he was stopping them before he could talk to the person who he needed to talk to, and only afterwards he allowed all the spirits to enjoy their meal, I guess. So in antique world it was believed that the blood gave life. Therefore, having fed on blood, the dead temporarily came to life. Obviously, this is what they were thirsty for, because at first hordes of uninvited shadows flew into Odysseus's call. Third thing, the appearance of a bunch of spirits shows that Odysseus could not summon anyone in particular himself. Some spirits appeared because they were somehow distorted by the hero, but many others simply lured the blood. In the writings, there is an image of a sorceress named Ericht. Correct me if I'm wrong, sorry for my pronunciation. So, she allegedly knew how to revive corpse. The image of this sorceress is one of the most terrible in literature. However, it turned out that the close communication with that drove her crazy. In addition, the most important thing, according to the witch, is to find the corpse with intact lungs. On the battlefield, it might be more complicated than you think, but it is needed because the awakened dead person will need breath, not to live but to speak. And of course, the place. The more dead people on the battlefield, the thinner and more transparent is the curtain to peace between the living and the underworld, because many souls has passed through it in a short period of time. In addition, in an ordinary place, it is easier to tell the future, but it is even better to choose a place where 2 worlds intersect naturally. And that's why now we will talk about portals to the other world. Oracle of the Dead. The antique kingdom of the dead is quite material, and it's real as the world of living. Of course, the spirits of the deceased live there, but the living can sometimes look there under exceptional circumstances. Water in the above ground rivers sometimes rushes down into the underworld. 3 such rivers merge near the city of Thesprotia in Greek region. It is not surprising that this is where the Necromancy, the Oracle of the Dead, is located. This place has great fame. It is believed that Odysseus came there for his rite. Later, hundreds of pilgrims flocked there. There are still plenty of visitors there to this day. The fame of this place grew, and the temple was built near it. Before meeting the spirits of the departed, not everyone returned from there alive and in the good mental health. The temple's petitioners had to perform several intricate rituals. During their stay in the temple, they had to adhere to a special diet, probably including drugs that expanded their perception. Fortunately, everything is simpler these days. The Greek Ministry of Culture informs everyone who wants to talk to the oracle at the Necromancy. It is open daily from 8 to 8 and requires a sacrifice of €6, a mere trifle. The Gates of Hate in Hierapolis. I'm really sorry if my pronunciation is awful. In the sacred city of Hierapolis, it is now in Turkey, there was the famous Plutonium, one of the rarest temples of antiquity. Temples in honor of the god of death, Pluto, were located in special places. There were poisonous gases come out of the ground. The ancient Greeks and Romans believed that poisonous gases rose directly from the underworld. According to some testimonies, this steam was so poisonous that it killed small animals that came too close to its source, and birds flying past. The reason of that could not be understood in antique times, in ancient times, but of course, it shocked people. However, it is now known for the certain that this is a common phenomenon, and these gases easily dissipate in the open air. Plutonium also willingly lets tourists into itself. However, it does not kill anyone, probably because over the past centuries the portal has partially collapsed due to frequent earthquakes. The Lake Avernus in the South Italy, to be precise. It is located in a volcanic region. The lake is flooded volcanic crater. It is possible that in ancient times it emitted poisonous vapors that poisoned local birds. Antique people loved poisonous places. Due to volcanic activity, a network of underground tunnels was also formed nearby. It was believed that with the help of certain spells and in the company of a good guide, one could reach the underworld through the tunnel. Journey to underworld. The Trojan hero made it to talk to the deceased father. Of all the ways to talk to death, this is the riskiest and most difficult. Let's start with the fact that a living person needs a companion from among the dead, the shadows, who will help him to return. Even if the poisonous gases do not kill you, most likely you will never see the entrance to the underworld because it simply is hidden from alive people. Only the most desperate and arrogant necromancer took on such a task. And this is taking into account the fact that the forays into the underworld ended successfully not for mere mortals, but only for the offspring of the gods. In general, talking to that, although it was a common thing, but without a fresh corpse or a portal to the underworld, getting an answer will be extremely difficult. Ghosts. Perhaps you thought that it would be much easier to just go to a place where a ghost has appeared more than once and just talk to it. However, communicating with the restless spirit is like talking on the phone with the captain of a ship caught in storm. This one is actually example from the book and I like it very much. So the connection with this captain is bad and the spirit on the other side does not care about you and your questions. On the contrary, now when he has your attention, he will try with all his might to convey the information that is important to him. What is the difference between a ghost and our imaginary captain? That the ghost is right next to you and gradually becomes furious for your questions. In general, those who have experienced this do not recommend repeating it. You know, all these stories when someone meets the spirit, the ghost, and they like jingle these chains and make noises. And when you finally get to communicate with them, they lead you to a place where they were somehow very violently murdered. They just like want to have a rest in peace already. I think that's why all modern films, they do not ask her ghost questions like what should I do. No one asks about the future, but they ask usually what do you want us to tell. And it's much better way not to make ghosts angry. There are many stories of encounters with the other world and conversations with ghosts. Even among my friends or family members, there are a lot of such mini stories. I believe that it all proves that afterlife exists. However, no serious practicing necromancer will doubt it anyway.